presidential candidate Donald Trump warned that he would force Apple, the U.S. most profitable company, to manufacture all of his products in the U.S. if he is elected president. In other words, I don't know how you force a company to do anything. I mean, frankly, Donald, that's kind of un-American to force him to do anything. Bad remark from Donald Trump. But I understand his frustration. Here you've got superior workers in this country that can manufacture those products a lot better than those Chinese workers do. Not saying that they're not capable of doing better, they just don't. American workers will do better. That I have no doubt. But technology blog Gizmodo reports that during a speech at the Liberty University in Virginia yesterday, the frontrunner for the GOP ticket said, "We're going to get Apple to build their damn computers and things in this country instead of in other countries." Apple currently manufactures its Mac Pro, only its Mac Pro computers in the U.S., while most of its other products, including the iPhone, the very popular iPhone, especially among the hippie set, iPhone, are made in China. You know, those wonderful Chinese sweatshops that liberals always say that American manufacturers utilize and take advantage of while they're out there buying their Apple gear. Now, the company's chief executive, and I'm inserting this part, openly gay, company's chief executive, Tim Cook, who is openly gay, I think maybe he's a husband, or I don't know. But in any case, he recently told CBS's 60 Minutes program that the U.S. tax code is awful for America. So here is a gay guy. He's a white gay guy, but he's still a gay guy. Liberals love the gay. They do. They say they love the gay. I don't know how they love the gay when they support Muslims and Islam that want to kill the gay, but they say they love the gay. And you got this gay who's the head of one of the world's most profitable and one of the world's most valuable American corporations, who has tons of cash sitting offshore, who manufactures most of its goods that it sells to you and me in China. And they bring it on shore. And then he tells us the reason why they manufacture offshore and keep all that offshore money offshore and profits offshore is because the American tax code is awful for America and American business. And yet you still have liberal Democratic candidates like Hillary and Bernie and Martin O'Malley who are claiming that American corporations aren't paying their fair share and need to pay more in taxes. When a gay guy of a liberal corporation that is a liberal consumer fan, a favorite, you're out there telling them that their company needs to be taxed more. While this gay guy from this liberal favorite company is telling you that the taxes in this country are terrible. Now, how do you balance that, liberal? How do you, on the one hand, say, oh, yeah, well, corporate America, I can't stand it when corporate America doesn't pay any taxes. They pay so little. Their rate is so low, and they keep all their money offshore, and they manufacture everything offshore. And then you run around and snap everything up that this most profitable, most valuable company on the planet does exactly what you hate. And then the gay CEO comes to you and tells you the reason why they're doing all that stuff is because the taxes that your favored Politico like Sanders and Clinton, the taxes that they want to impose are too onerous and terrible. And yet you want to support them to raise taxes so Apple doesn't bring its money onshore and doesn't bring its manufacturing onshore, so the gay guy who's running the company can still stand up there and say, well, taxes are terrible. That's why we don't manufacture anything here. That's why we don't bring the money onshore. That's why we don't invest in America, because the damn taxes are too high. And then you run around with your hippiedom and you go and you say, well, yeah, I did something. I got my safe space and, I shout out somebody so he couldn't speak, and feel all wonderful and fuzzy because you think that you are caring. Yet you're a hypocritical idiot. And where I was going with the program, Happy Endings, I didn't get to the point, I realize that I was trying to make in the first place, is that in one of the episodes there was something that they called hipsters. I didn't, modern millennial version of the beatnik. And the one thing about hipsters is that you're not supposed to really be too overly enthusiastic or energetic, and you're not supposed to really try too hard, because what's the point? What's the point in trying too hard? Well, I mean, what's the point? That's a hipster's view. Why do you got to run around and try to get so much money? Why do you got to work so hard to have so much money? Why do you got to do this? Why do you got to own that? Hey, why do you bother? Why is it so important? This is a hipster mindset. You just throw on whatever you want to throw on, clothing, look however you want to look. But the real point is that they're out there telling you that you shouldn't try so hard, that the hipster lifestyle is just so free-flowing, easy. When the real fact is that they work very hard at not working hard. And that all that inexpensive stuff that they claim is inexpensive, hell, it's very expensive. Not to mention, if they're buying it used, somebody else already had to do all that hard work for them to buy it and then decide that they didn't want it and give it to those wonderful, donation centers that then turn around and resell it for a much lower price, but still for a lot. In some cases. So, look, even those who claim that, you shouldn't try very hard or work very hard at not working very hard. To look, it's kind of like an emo, phase back in the, I don't know. It just seemed to be a lot of work to be so miserable. Because you would think that emo meant being emotionless. No, they were supposedly overly emotional. They felt everything. About everything. They weren't depressed. They were just sad about everything. And that was reflected in their basically, emo was a stylized. Goths were more energetic and more flamboyant, but emos they were more subdued. Bring on depression. I mean, it was a phase. It's still kind of a small phase, but it's not what it used to be. Thank goodness. We don't need. That's part of the reason why so many. I think emoism is a direct result of over-medicating our kids, by the way. Ritalin and other drugs that supposedly... They're kids, for crying out. This whole notion that everybody, basically, if you're to listen to the commercials or the public service spots about autism, everybody's got autism now. I have listened to these commercials go from 1 in 350 kids are born with autism to 1 in 80. What the hell is going on? Either we're changing the definition of autism to encompass more people, or there really is an epidemic. If there's really an epidemic, why the hell is there an epidemic? And don't tell me it's the pharmaceutical companies, because you got a bunch of liberal, mind-numb psychologists, psychiatrists, psychoanalysts who are out there subscribing drug after drug after drug to anybody and everybody that they come across who's under the age of 18. Because they all have, autism or ADD or ADHD or whatever that stupid thing is. They decide to change the acronym every, 4 years. And this is from a bunch of people who have what? PhDs. This whole liberal mindset is so full of hypocrisy. Oh, let's hate on the pharmaceutical companies for making all these drugs and then charging us an arm and a leg. And then you run out and you try to get everybody hooked on those same pharmaceutical drugs. How do you do that? Pharmacy, I kind of makes you, the hypocrisy kind of makes you want to rip your hair out. And I got a full head of hair, so I have some to spare, I suppose. My age, I got very little gray hair. I'm not. You look at some old high school pictures of me, my hair is just still on my. I was a freshman in high school. It has not moved. I'm very blessed. I know that. I know that. I know that there are. Look, both of my grandfathers and my father, they all died with a full head of and very little gray. They all lived to be in their 70s. I am very blessed that I have a lot of guys spend a lot of money on trying to restore their hairlines one way or another, either by surgery, oral or topical or both types of. I'm lucky. I know. I get it. A lot of, I guess it comes with being, part African and part Native American. Not a lot of baldness there. Those ethnic back. I mean, there are bald black men. I know. I am. My great grandfather on my mother's side. In other words, my maternal great grandfather. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Real Linda, that means it would be my mother's father. He was bald. But I've seen a picture of my mother's father's father. He wasn't bald. One great-grandfather. Mother's dad, full head of hair. Mother's dad's dad, full head of hair. My dad's dad, full head of hair. I've never seen pictures of my father. Although I do remember meeting one of my father's. Anyway. By the way, has anybody out there done the I know there's two. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the other. I know that there are two major companies out there that trying to help you figure out your family tree. I'm not going to mention any names. I can't remember the other company's name. Unfairly mention one when I can't mention the. That they're out there offering DNA test. It's not, one of them is advertising, go back in your family history like 1,000 years or something. Wants to force these companies that do this type of stuff to give them the DNA. Interested is all hell to figure out my ancestry. government being able to have that?